This is the Book Legion Podcast, where we review thought-provoking books to give our Legionnaires the knowledge they need to dominate the next level of their life.
Thanks so much for joining me this week on the Book Legion. This is Tyser Evans, your host. This week I'm going to be reviewing the book that was written by Jim Kwik called Limitless. Upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, and unlock your exceptional life. So let's just talk a little bit about who Jim Kwik is. He's someone I followed the last couple of years on social media. He makes really great content, but he's really probably one of the guys that's in the foremost leading expert about memory loss. Really, I would say is like a brain doctor, right? He's not an actual doctor, but it's kind of like Brendon Burchard, how he is kind of known to be the person that's on the leading forefront when it comes to habits. I would say that's how Jim Kwik is when it comes to anything memory or brain related. Jim Kwik is kind of the influence or forefront talking about how to really start to program your mind so you don't forget stuff as easily. You're able to have better memory recall. You're able to focus and calm your mind. So this whole book was, written. I love the title Limitless. If you've ever seen the movie with Bradley Cooper, Limitless, it's a brain movie where he takes this little pill and then unlocks this new part of his mind. So I was excited to read this because I'm really about efficiency and being able to upgrade, be able to recall information faster, be able to work through difficult or stressful times better by being able to condition my brain better. So I was excited to jump into this, and boy, it didn't disappoint. It really kind of did remind me actually a little bit of Brendon Burchard's book, High Performance Habits, but more brain-centric. So I'm going to cover my 3 favorite chapters out of the book. So the first chapter I want to talk about is chapter 4, which is read and remember this book. So this is all about starting to implement steps where you're able to read better. And this is where Jim talks about using his method called FASTER. And FASTER is an acronym. So I'm going to touch on 2 different things out of the acronym. The first one is state. So he talks a lot about what is your state while you're learning information, right? If you're in a state where you've gone through turmoil or you just had a fight with your spouse and then you try to go study, it's going to be more of a difficult state to be able to really recall and let the information sink in, right? So be really cautious of the state that you're in while you're learning or you're trying to learn. And he talks about something that like T is for teach. And I really like this because I feel like if I can read something, learn about something, and then teach it back to somebody, then one, it not only helps submit my learning, but really shows myself that I clearly understand the principles of what I just learned if I'm able to regurgitate to somebody else. So oftentimes when I'm in for work, if I'm learning a new product, what I do is I'll do like a mock presentation for a prospect and kind of do some role playing to make sure that my talk track is down and I'm actually able to recall the information I just learned and it comes out in a cohesive manner. So I really like the FASTER approach. I don't want to jump into all of the different pillars. Obviously there's 6 because again, it's an acronym. It stands for different things, but I wanted to cover the S and the T for state and for teach. And in this chapter, he also talks about too is the RAS, and that's your Reticular Activating System. And this is something that Ed Milet and Tony Robbins talk extensively about. And so one of the things that Jim talks about is that your brain processes 11 million bits of information per second, but our conscious mind can actually only handle about 50 bits of information per second, right? So you have your conscious and your subconscious mind. And so what your RAS does is that's what really starts to filter out the things that you're starting to draw into your life. So what you think about, you bring into your life, or into your scope of view, right? Because you're filtering out that 11 million pieces of information per second. And so if you really get good at controlling your RAS, you start to bring more things into your life that you're wanting to when it comes to your goals, dreams, and the desires. And here's a great example of what your RAS does, right? You ever bought a new car? And for me, this always happens to me, right? I'll give you a great example. I just bought a new car 3 months ago. I bought an Audi A7. Beautiful car. And one of the reasons I bought it was because you just really don't see Audi A7s, which you really don't. But now anytime on the road, I feel like I always see an Audi A7, or at least Audis in general, because my brain now has started to filter that in as something to search for and to look for, because it's become a part of me or my identity or my belief systems. And so those are things you search out, right? And so a lot of us do this with our political views, our religious views, our people we associate ourselves with, is it's your brain consciously and subconsciously seeks out those things that you think about most. So he ties this in when you're learning, right, to be able to understand how to manipulate your RAS system, because it can be highly effective for enhancing your ability to get to your goals. So I love that he covered that, something to pay special attention to on pages 48, 49, and 50 when he talks about your RAS and his faster method. So that way, when you read something, if you implement the faster method, you're able to retain it longer and obviously for the duration of your life, so you can recall that information when you need it. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is chapter 6, which is 7 Lies of Learning. And what I loved about this is he just dispels myth. I'm only going to cover 3 of them, but I thought they were really fun to read through, and I was happy that he put this section. It's in part 2 of the book. There's several different parts. But 7 Lies of Learning, right? So one of them is that we only use 10% of our brains, which I don't know who, I mean, he does talk about how we got to that, but that always didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I was like, why would we be given a whole brain if we're only going to use 10% of it? So he kind of walks us through how that's a bit of a myth. He also talks about how knowledge is power, that's a myth. And this is something that I've actually heard before, and the reason I wanted to bring it up, because it is, right? Knowledge is great to acquire, but knowledge not power just on its own. Knowledge is only power if you take what you've learned and you put it in motion, right? You turn it into action. That is the only way that knowledge is power, is by turning it into action. So I can go out and I can read 1,000 books. Doesn't really mean shit if I don't apply what I've learned into real life world activity, right? And then the last one he talks about is that learning a new thing is difficult. And he does admit that learning something can be difficult, but there's a very easy way of accomplishing learning something new that doesn't have to seem like it's an overbearing or an overburdened task. And the biggest takeaway for me is what he talks about is just take small steps, right? If you've ever seen the movie What About Bob with Bill Murray, in that movie, you have Dr. Leo Marvin is trying to help Bob, who's a patient of his. He's a psychiatrist, and Bill Murray's the patient, and he's supposed to be a crazy guy. But to help him to be able to function in society, he just has him focus on baby steps, right? And that's all it is. Learning a new skill, if you look at like what I have to accomplish or a goal I have to accomplish, it can seem very daunting. But when you break it out into small chunks, I can accomplish reading 10 pages today, right? I can accomplish reading a gallon of water today. I can accomplish 10 minutes of exercise today. So it's just working on small actionable steps that you accomplish every single day to learn a new skill. So kind of a fun chapter talking about different myths of learning. And then the last chapter I want to talk about is chapter 11, which is focus, which I believe is in part 3 of the book. And I think that there's 4 parts. So focus for me, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because if you don't have focus, you're never going to get anywhere, right? I made a video at the beginning of January that said that broken focus will cause you to miss your goals in 2022. Same thing. Because if you're not hitting your goals, you're not living your dreams, right? But it's true. So how do we start to get like this really concrete focus? And so he talks about practicing your concentration. We talk about calming the mind, right? Because if you can spend 20 minutes very intentionally learning something and you're fully focused, and at the same time you implement things like breath work and meditation to not only help to calm your mind, but also, again, to focus on something. And in meditation, what's great about that, not only are you calming your mind, and for me, I just focus on my breath, right? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Then you're giving your mind something to focus on. And you can start with 5 minutes, go to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And the longer you can concentrate just on your breath work, then when you go to read a book and you want to have that same type of intense concentration, you've now started to condition and exercise your mind to be able to accomplish that, which then obviously helps your overall learning. One of the key parts about this chapter that I love that he brought up was scheduling a time for your distractions. So a lot of us are really distracted by our phones. I'm currently using mine to record, or I would show it to you. But a lot of us are distracted by our phones, our family, our kids, the neighbors, the dogs, the computer, the TV, right? We're always pulled in a lot of different directions. We got so much coming at us nowadays that as opposed to just randomly picking up your phone and jumping on social media and going down a Twitter or a YouTube or an Instagram rabbit hole, schedule time to do that, which makes a immense amount of sense to me. Like, give yourself 15 minutes where it's like social media play, or whatever else it could be. You know, if you want to go shoot basketball, or if you want to go to the gym, or anything else that you, I guess it's not really a distraction, but anything that you deem as a distraction, your email inbox. Jesus, that's one of the biggest distractors we have, right? Schedule time for that. And that's something that actually I do in my day. I schedule twice a day times for me to check my emails. So that way I don't feel burdened to jump in my inbox every 30 minutes and check what's going on. I make the expectation that I'm going to check it once in the morning and once in the afternoon, and I filter through. And when I'm done checking my emails, I don't go check it again. I'll get it the next morning, my scheduled time. And that allows me to free up time of not always being constantly in my inbox, to be able to help clients work with underwriting, be able to make more prospecting calls. So all you're really doing is helping your focus, right, by eliminating as many distractions as possible so you can be more productive. So overall, the book is really well written. It's a lengthy book, don't get me wrong. It's about 300 pages. It was written in 2020, so all of the information is still really relevant. Jim Kwik, I said you can follow his social media. He's really big on, he's got a YouTube channel. He's really big on Instagram, and he's got a Facebook, the whole thing. So I would highly encourage, if you're someone who knows that I need to do some work on the old mind, I need to have better concentration, I need to implement some new tools and some new tricks to be able to learn faster, being more efficient on recalling my information and making sure the information sticks, I would highly recommend that you pick up Limitless. It runs between $15 and $20 depending on what the Amazon promotion is, and you can also get it off of Jim Kwik's website. So if you guys haven't done so, please subscribe to the podcast. Drop me a 5-star review. It makes it easier for other people to be able to find the podcast. And please share with 3 or 4 like-minded book lovers. It would mean a lot to me. So if you guys want to buy Limitless, I'll put the book link in the show notes so you can go pick it up, $15-20. And thank you so much for watching. I really sincerely appreciate everybody's support, and I'll talk to you guys next week.